Hi girls, I am so sorry about losing the connection. For some reason it's not letting me in, still not letting me in, keeps telling me waiting. So I'm going to record this video quickly and try and get it posted up on Moodle for you so that you can at least see what it is that I wanted to demonstrate for you. So in the email, what I said was one of the things that I wanted to talk to you guys today about was creating paints from everyday items in your household. You can use things from your kitchen cabinets, spices, tea, coffee, food coloring, things like that. What I did over the weekend was I went through my kitchen cabinet and I got out a number of different spices that I thought would make some good colors, and I mixed them with a little bit of water, just like this. Now what I did was I have these little plastic cups, okay, just like this. If you, I save them sometimes when we order takeout. If we get pizza and a salad, sometimes a salad dressing comes in these, sometimes it's sauce from when we order Chinese food. And I like to save them because they make good water cups. So I just wash them, put them in the dishwasher, give them a good, rinse and get all the oil off. Might run them through 1 or 2 times. And I usually have them in the classroom as well. They make great water cups. But what I did was I filled each one of them about halfway. Now, if you don't have little cups like that, you can use anything. This is a measuring cup. This is about 1/4 of a cup. And that's about the same size as this little cup here. And what I did was I filled it about halfway. So if you have a measuring cup like this, 1/4 cup, just fill it about halfway and then you can pour it into any other cup that you have. Or you can just measure out about 3 or 4 tablespoons. Okay, this is a tablespoon. I'm pretty sure you all knew what the difference between tablespoons and teaspoons. Okay, so I filled it about halfway, about 1/8 of a cup or 3 or 4 tablespoons filled with water. And then I got a teaspoon. So here's my teaspoon measuring spoon. Here's your regular teaspoon if you get it from your drawer in your kitchen. And I filled them with all of these different spices. I used garlic, turmeric, curry, cumin, nutmeg, Old Bay seasoning, paprika, cinnamon, and cocoa powder. Now this cocoa powder is not hot chocolate mix. It's cocoa powder that you would use for baking. And I let them sit for a while. Some of them you really need to let sit for a long time. This one this morning, I went back and I did it just for the demonstration. I filled this with turmeric, which is this one right here. And turmeric comes in a powder form, at least the one that I have comes in a powder form. The curry was a powder, paprika was a powder. And I noticed that the powders mixed well together easily, and they definitely mixed better than some of the other ones. The garlic that I had was a granulated garlic. You might have garlic powder in your pantry. You might have onion powder. That could kind of give you the same results in terms of color. But what I noticed with the granulated garlic, that's the kind that you see when you go out for pizza, that they have in the little shakers. It's got little grains, almost like little, when you think about grains of sand or grains of salt, and they don't really dissolve. So I noticed with some of them, that was what happened. The granulated garlic, I had ground nutmeg, didn't really dissolve. The Old Bay seasoning, because it's a mixture of different spices, did not really dissolve well. So if you can see, I'll just see if I can put this up here, you can see little bits of residue in some of them, the same with the garlic. But the reason why I wanted to do this was to show you that you don't have to have paint in your house in order to create a painting. You can use anything that you find. If you soak a tea bag in water, get a tea bag, ask a parent to help you. You can heat up the hot water, put the tea bag in a cup with just a little bit of water. Your color will be more concentrated. You can use coffee. You could probably use actual hot chocolate. Now, with the cocoa powder, I use just regular room temperature water. I'm curious to see, and I'm going to try this again, if I used hot water, if that would make a difference in how the cocoa turned out, because that still was a little spotty. Maybe use a hot chocolate mix and actually make hot chocolate and see what that does. And then, so what I did afterwards, after I mixed up all my seasonings, some of them I really had to let sit for a while, especially the cinnamon. That took about an hour or more for it to really kind of liquefy and, you know, to mix with the water. After I mixed them all up, I just labeled them out like this, and then I painted just a little swatch of color. I let it dry. I went back over it with a second coat of each of the colors, just to see what they would look like when they were a little bit more concentrated. Then I went online and I was looking at the Met's website, and I found a really interesting sculpture. And I can't show that to you right now, unfortunately, but this is just a little painting that I started doing based off of that sculpture. It's a sculpture of a figure. This should be an arm. There would be another arm here. This is where the head is missing. But you can see all of the clothing draping around. Here's a leg coming out. Here's another leg coming out. These are where the knees would be. Unfortunately, some of the spices actually spilt when I knocked them over the other day, so things got a little bit washed out. But what you can see is that I was able to use my spices to create a painting. Now, if you have a paintbrush and, you know, some paint at home, you can try this out. If you do not have a paintbrush, you can always use a Q-tip, and you can just dip it in the, you know, in your colors and try dabbing it on, almost like a little, like a pointillism effect. Besides using spices, tea, coffee, you can also use food coloring. Food coloring is another great option, and I created one a couple of weeks ago using food coloring, a painting, and then I cut it up for something else. But if you look here at these little scraps, I was going to make paper flowers out of these. What you can see is these are all of these colors here. I didn't use watercolor paints. I actually used food coloring on these. So I just mixed up, you know, got those same little cups of water, and I put about 10-20 drops of food coloring in each of them, and I created my watercolor paints. I had red, yellow, blue, and green. That was it. But when you mix them together in different amounts, you can create other colors. When you blend them on the paper, you can get violets, you can get these kind of blue greens, these red orange colors. And then afterwards, I went back into the original painting, and I did a little bit of color with some color pencil, just to get a little bit more, you know, just to saturate the color a little bit more. What this was an entire drawing of just blind contour drawing. So it was faces that I created without picking my pencil up off the paper or looking at a picture of anything. Okay, so girls, that was really kind of what I wanted to explain to you today. I hope that this makes sense. What you can do over the weekend, if you get a chance, is you can look through your kitchen cabinet, look through your spice rack. Obviously, ask your parents' permission first, because I'm sure, you know, they don't want you wasting all of their spices in the middle of a pandemic when we can't go out and do, you know, a whole bunch of unnecessary shopping. But if they let you, then you can just go in and just get a couple of things. You really don't need an awful lot. Again, about a teaspoon of anything is really all you need. And food coloring, a little bit goes a long way. And even with this, now this is the size that I mixed up. I used nowhere near this amount when I was creating this painting. So if you wanted to, you could always cut it in half again. Maybe use, you know, 2 tablespoons and half a teaspoon and see what happens. One thing I will say, that when you are using the spices to paint, you will need to constantly be stirring it, because they do settle down. So I just got, I had a plastic straw in the drawer, and, you know, just kind of use this to constantly mix it. With the food coloring, you don't need to do that. Another thing you can try if you have a garden and you have some flowers in your garden is you can go out and you can look for maybe some flowers, maybe some dirt, grass. Try grinding them up, adding a little bit of water, see if you can do anything that way. Okay, so girls, this is really what I wanted to have a demonstration about, you know, to have a demonstration about for you. I hope that this all makes sense. I'm going to try and post this now on Moodle, so I hope you get it, and I hope you can listen to it and watch it. And I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Again, I am sorry for the lost connection. I don't know what is going on with my internet here. For some reason, my iPad, which is the only way that I can connect to Zoom, is no longer connecting. I don't have it on my laptop because I do not have a webcam, so I wouldn't be able to see or hear you. And my phone does not work for it either because I don't have a front camera. It doesn't work. So unfortunately, this is the trying to make the best of a bad situation right now. If you have any questions, send me an email over the weekend, and I will try to get back to you as soon as I can. Okay, 6th grade, have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye.